Okay, sis.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, blessed boy.
Good morning. Welcome into the space. Adam's such a good student, always on time with the apple in his hand. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good
I'm
morning.
feeling very mystical today. Right. Thanks for coming into the space. My purple sister Z. Good morning. Good morning, Sister Madeline.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Welcome into the space.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for coming through. Uh-oh, that was a mistake. My finger clicked the button. All right.
All right, sis. Any preparation, declarations about what they're going to experience this morning with you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're going to join together in a magical, mystical space where we discuss and different experiences we have had today. That's what we're doing today. Today's topic is magical, mystical manifestations and occurrences, different things in our lives that we've experienced where we didn't know, we wasn't sure, it wasn't logical. What happened wasn't logical. It was magic. It was mystical. It was supposed to happen. So that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about the little times in our lives where we have been a witness to something happening that was amazing, that was unexpected. And, you know, when I say that, I'm thinking good, but it also goes the other way too, maybe not low vibration. So we can share those too. So I'm looking forward to hearing some really good stories.
Sis, just swipe to the left or the right so you can hear the opening, okay? On your device.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Ooh. Woo! Woo! Today is going to be a really woo morning. I want to get into those times in our lives where we said a prayer, we put it out there, and we got to see the manifestation, or we got to see it come into fruition. I want to talk about that time you had a dream and the dream actually came true. Like people would say you dream numbers, or you dreamt your husband, things like that. I want to talk about that today. So I'm going to start off with a short story of a vision that came to me that really blew my mind, like really just had me shaking on the floor like this. At times during Black History Month, I will become Harriet Tubman for schools and different gatherings. I'll channel Harriet and I'll share Harriet with people. We do a sing along. We tell stories to children, adults, everyone. Well, one day I had hung Harriet's dress and her shoes and her scarf on the back of my door. And when I went into my room, I can't even, so it was so weird that sometimes I doubt myself and I say, no, that didn't happen. No, but it did happen, because right after it happened, I remember standing there going, what just happened? No, that didn't just happen. I walked into my room and Harriet just jumped. She was behind my door. Okay. It wasn't the clothing now. She was behind my door. And she started speaking to me. And she was so scary to me at first, because she started out being kind of like angry, right? And she said to me, you're telling my story? Did you speak to me before you tell my story? And I remember I was like confused, like, what did I just hear? And then I looked and I like saw her standing there, and she was just speaking to me. And I was shaking, and I was crying, and we were speaking, and we were having an actual dialogue. I was dialoguing with Harriet Tubman, okay? Dialoguing with her. And she told me quite a few things. I asked her, how did she know who to trust? And she told me that she didn't trust people based on skin color. It was too dangerous to do that. So she was unable to do that. She said she always looked in their eyes. She always looked in their eyes to be able to know who she could trust and who she couldn't trust. Well, that vision was so powerful that at the end of it, I was on the floor shaking and crying and confused. And I would say that that would be one of the most powerful, mystical, magical manifestations that I've ever experienced till this day. There have been more and different things, but that was the most powerful one. And I would love to ask, is there anyone out there who have had an experience that was magical, mystical, manifestation, an answered prayer before? And you can put that in the chat if you have. And if you've never had anything like that, put that in the chat too. Put no or yes. And good morning for those who have just walked into the room. Thank you for joining us.
All righty. Let's prime the pump. Folks just landing in. Once again, Sister asked if anybody has had a mystical experience. She just described hers. I love that Harriet checked you in that way and pulled you in. And what in my work they call it called you in, instead of called you out. So there's so many mystical moments that I can share. I'm going to share one that was low vibrational, high vibrational combined. So I shared in the last session that I went through this period of transformation. I think I shared this. And I started to study, use my intuition more, meditate. I would meditate for an hour each morning before I started working and doing things in the world. Really, really powerful time. And more of my gifts were being amplified. And I remember laying in the bed and it was dark in the room, and an energy went through my back and came out my front. And I was so shook because I felt it move through me. And it was so intense. And so I spoke to one of my spiritual teachers the next day because I was like, it felt so disorienting to have that happen. And she was like, you're opening up all these channels, you're calling on the ancestors and spirit, and not all that you're calling on are stable enough and grounded enough as far as their walk, their energy for you to be calling them. Like, it's like a light in a very dark space and they hone in on it. And because you're an open channel now, they're like, oh, let me just jump on in. And so she told me what to do to stop that from happening. She was like, literally tell them back off and create boundaries regarding them. Otherwise, it's going to be a free for all. So I did that. But I will never forget having that energy move through my body and just having the audacity to think that it could just do that. But it was perfect timing because, like I said, I was in the beginning of the journey, so it taught me what I needed to do to shield myself, and that all ancestors, spirits, energies don't need to be invited in. And I'm complete.
Can I may I chime in, Shawnee? So
Please
as
do.
it's Tiffany. So as I'm listening to you share your story, it's very much giving me Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost, where she was the fake medium,
True,
and
true.
and then when Sam Wheat hopped into her body, she had no idea what to do. She running around. He's like, say my name, say my name. She's like, Sam Wheat, slam the door. What it reminded me of is that in as we learn about the spirits, like some spirits are unsettled and may want to do harm, and they're like, oh, here goes a vessel for me to be able to do this. So thank you for sharing that with us, that we got to be careful when we call upon the ancestors, that we're actually looking for that right energy to come through, because the bad energy want to come through and manifest stuff too.
Everybody wants space, right? Even bodies that don't have bodies, they want space. And yeah, I've had wow, you know what? And just listening to that too, it just reminded me. Sometimes I don't remember how many or how often magical, mystical things happen in my life. I guess because I don't think about it, and I might move on from it. But even just listening to you share that story, Shawnee, I had and maybe remember another magical, just amazing situation that I had one time when I was with a group of sisters, and we had a circle, and it was Father's Day, and it was a really, it was a powerful circle, and I don't know what happened, but it was like we opened up the way, and like you said, once that way is open, my friends that were there with me, they said they used the word, it was like a gang just ran through me, like I was being like gang raped or something. Like these energies just kept on coming through me, coming through me, coming through me, coming through me, coming through me. And they were like, oh my God, it was like a waterfall. They were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? They was trying to figure out what to do. They was rubbing my feet, rubbing my shoulders. They was, praying. I mean, it was nothing bad, but it just was a lot, and it was unexpected. It was unexpected, and it was unwelcome too. But what they ended up doing, or what we all ended up doing, is just making space, and everyone just came through, said what they had to say, and once the resistance had stopped, because it was this big resistance with all of us, once that resistance had stopped, then it seemed like, okay, everybody just kind of flowed through and then just moved out, and just flowed through and moved out, and everything calmed down. I had forgotten about that. And that was a little bit scary. So,
All righty. So welcome. Some folks have just arrived in the last couple of minutes. I see Laura has her hand up, and also want to read really quickly from Facebook. Cecilia Nelson Hurt said, "Yes, I've had very vivid dreams of my grandmother that felt so real." Let me see what else. I think that is it. So Laura, we ready
Good
for
morning,
you?
Celia.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Thank you, Sister
morning.
Zaraya. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so my mystical or magical moments come through my dreams. And it started when I was 6 years old. I was dreaming that someone hit me in my head. Actually, the who we call conductors and buses in Jamaica, in the country. Yeah, this person who packs the luggages on the bus. So I was standing at the roadside because we didn't have sidewalks. And he hit me in my head with a broom. So I started to cry. And then one of the ladies living in the home, in the bed I was sleeping, she like, "Wake up, your father is dead." I'm like, so I just keep screaming because I'm dreaming, I'm crying, and then to hear this, then the elderly men in the community, I wasn't living in this home, came and they brought me to the home and they were swinging. I had a smaller brother. They were swinging our bodies over his dead body on the bed. And I'm screaming and kicking. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I never forget. And I was always wondering, what just happened? You know, and I keep seeking to find out what happened. How could this be? So it, sent me on a path of curiosity and seeking truth to come to understand the connection we have. And then, I don't know if, Sean, you remember, one morning, just before the day when my grandson was due, I got up early and I was meditating and calling on all these spiritual mothers and women in my life, and I'm there meditating, deep into meditation. The phone rang. It was early, like 6 o'clock. It was Shawnee. And I'm just meditating and bringing in, Shawnee and all these spiritual women. And I just screamed out crying because I'm like, is this real? And I have these dreams all the time, all the time. They just
Wow.
keep coming.
Wow, you are a true mystical conductor. You know, I've heard of this. Ooh. I've heard of this practice before of and I can see as you're speaking, the energy is coming on you. I can see it. Like, and it does that when you think about it, and you take it back and it's like, whoa, did that really happen? Because I know for myself too, when these things happen, I can never just like, oh wow, yeah, that happened. The universe always surprises me. I'm always baffled. I'm never used to these mystical things like, oh yeah, this happens. It's always leaves me dumbfounded, like, wait a minute, what? What? Um, and I have heard of this tradition of passing a baby over or a child over the parents' body before. I've heard of that before, but I don't know, is that a custom? I'm curious if anybody knows, is that a custom in other parts of the West Indies? And also, is it a custom here in the United States as well? I'm just curious if anybody knows.
So this is Shawnee again. I would always question whether this actually happened because it sounded so weird as I evolved as a being and just got more mature. But I remember my father passed away, and I have this memory as a child. I was 3 of them doing that. And I'm like, what is that? Questioned the validity of the memory. But I've heard it just a little bit over the years, like people bringing that up. And I don't know what it means. I would love to do more research, but I remember that being done. So now I have to check with my family that was at the service. when he transitioned to see if they did that, because I have recall around that. And I'm like, what is that? So thank you, Laura, for bringing it up, because I didn't
Thank you,
know
Laura.
it was a thing, you know?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Yeah, you're on mute.
One of the elders who came to get me, he was a catcher of spirits in the community.
Ooh.
Yeah, growing up, we used to hear that he would catch the spirits that were unsettled in the community. And, you know, I didn't know what he did, but years ago I went home and I said, I'm going to ask him, you know, what he does and what is, you know, what it's about. But before I got back home, he passed.
Did anybody take over his position?
Not that I know of.
Wow, don't tell me there's a whole village without a spirit catcher now.
I'll ask, I'll find out.
How does those things get passed on? You know, to the next person? Do they have apprentices usually? All right. How's the chat going?
Yeah, there's a couple of shares. So one is from Tiffany. She said, I experienced deja vu very often. As a child, things would happen, and I would tell the adults that we did this before, and the adults would insist that it hadn't happened. But I know that I did this thing or that before. And then your sis, Shayna, said, Robert's family is from Honduras, and they pass children over bodies and from Honduras. So yeah, those are the two shares in the chat.
Great morning, everybody. This is Andrea. I just got off mute. We do
Good
that
morning.
in Guyana. Yeah, great morning. We do that in Guyana too. When someone is deceased, usually the youngest baby around, that's blood related to that deceased person, they will pass the baby over the body 3 times. My mom passed away last year, July, and my daughter gave birth in December. And on, I think it was the 40th day, we went to mom's gravesite and we passed my grandson over my mom's body 3 times. Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from Guyana, South America.
Okay, so this seems to be done because your family, Shawnee, is from down south.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be done across. I mean, I don't know if it's across cultures, you know, in Black families. I wonder if it's also done in like European or Indian or other cultural families. But I see there's a hand up.
All righty. Let's see who that is. That's Marilyn. Come on, love.
Welcome into the space.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My manifestations also come from my dreams. I tend to meditate a lot, and sometimes, like when I'm worried or going through something, as I'm praying and laying myself down, I just put it out there to the universe to get an answer. And then my dreams often give me signs. And when I wake up, I usually go to like a dream dictionary or something to find out what a particular item is that kind of sticks out, whether it's a fish, an eagle, water. I always feel like I'm dreaming and I'm always surrounded by water, but the water is always like protecting me. It never really covers me. And when I look through the dream dictionary, it kind of gives me the answer I was looking for. So if, let's say I was asking, I'm on a crossroad, on a fork on the road and don't know what to do, I'm juggling through my thoughts, and then it gives me, let's say, a fish, and the fish is, stay on your path, what you're doing is correct. So it kind of gives me stuff like that where I feel like, okay. And then I also have dreams that have been like revelations. Like for instance, I had a dream once, and I remember I was younger, that it was so vivid that my mom had an accident in her car. And I saw the car, I saw how it happened, but like I was watching at a distance. And I woke up immediately, saw her by the car, at the table, drinking her coffee, and I just started crying hysterical. And I started telling her what happened. She's like, no, I'm okay, I'm here, look at me. And maybe 2-3 months, the dream happened, but it wasn't my mom. It happened to be my sister and her boyfriend were driving my mom's car. And exactly how I saw it in my dream was how it happened. So I was like, oh, I told you to get rid of that car. I told you to get rid of that car. I said, you know. So, and then I also have like dreams of numbers, and sometimes they come out, and sometimes the dreams, the numbers don't come out. But what I look for is angel numbers. And those are also like messages answering whatever I was praying for that night. And I'm
Okay, what do you
complete.
consider an angel number? 'Cause everyone
Like,
doesn't know.
like an angel number. Well, I look it up on Google. Like when you see like the 333 so often, or 1111, certain numbers like that. Like sometimes I see the 943, and then I look up what does that mean. It says, oh, angel number 943 sends a message of, have a peaceful mind, try not to be negative, like things like that. So when I see that I'm playing that number, because my mother-in-law, she's an avid number player, she tells me play it for 9 days. And when I do, and I see that it's not coming out, I was like, no, I don't think it was meant for me to play. So I just start looking up, like, what can this number mean? And then I look up like the angel number 943 or 333 or whatever number it is that I'm kind of like seeing so frequently. And it just gives me certain messages that I'm like, okay, and it kind of gives me peace of mind.
Wow. So your family knows, do they acknowledge these powerful dreams that you have?
Yes, definitely. And even like friends. And most of the time, like some of those dreams that are vivid like that are more like warnings. And I try to tell the person that I'm like having the dream with, but then I'm like, no, because sometimes it doesn't happen to that specific person. I was like, who are they always in contact with? And I was like, I'm not trying to sound crazy. I was like, but I had a dream of you and this happened. And they're like, no, I believe in that. Okay, thank you. And they try to like be careful, not to the point where they're like obsessing about their safety, but being more alert to certain situations.
Wow, sis.
Thank you.
That is definitely mystical, magical manifestations. Thank you, Marilyn, for sharing. I appreciate your share. Wow. That's one thing I have not experienced, like in sleep, in dreams, seeing things in my dream. I've seen things in my daydreams and then seen it manifest, but I don't think I've ever had the sleep and dream manifestation. And that's a really powerful manifestation right there. Thank you for that. Wow. All right. How's the chat doing?
Great question. Just a few shares in the chat, and then also welcoming in folks to raise their hand.
Welcome.
Yeah. So Tiff posted that Benji B, I think that's Nadine Benjamin, said that I believe that custom of lifting babies or younger children over the dead body was to protect the child from being followed by the deceased spirit. Powerful. And, I just think about all the ports, the diasporic experience that we have, just different parts of the world where African peoples were dropped and the rituals were maintained, or they had to do them in secret. Just amazing, how there's these threads, and then we make up that we're disconnected when we're so connected. And when Marilyn was sharing about the numbers, I'm heavily into numbers, and they come to me all the time. I was saying that all numbers can be messages from spirit or the angels, with their specific numbers like 333, 1111, 555, that provide high vibrational messages from spirit that we see habitually, and then also can give guidance and direction or even warnings. Zakia said in her family, when somebody dreamed about fish, it meant somebody was pregnant. In my family too.
Yes.
And I love universal signs. It's just amazing. All the spirits want to speak. They're like, would they just listen? It's just amazing. And then Nadine or Benji B said, not sure if it is mystical or magical, but I've had experiences either in trance or dreams that seem quite real or deja vu. Uh-oh. We have folks dropping stuff in so it moves. Deja vu with both sounds, with souls, I'm sorry, souls departed and still present. Sometimes it brings a message when a lot is going on, or maybe a meaning to someone else. Catherine mentioned seeing 11 yesterday, and Z said in my culture too, Laura said to Z, in my culture too, that's about the seeing the fish and the pregnancy. And Z said, when I was a child, I dreamt about people transitioning, and often it happened soon after. It scared me, and I consciously willed it away. All righty. Those are all the shares for the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I really appreciate all the stories that I heard today of these magical, mystical manifestations, and hearing the cultural thread that joins us together all over the map, and how we experience some of these same things and translate these same things the same way. And it makes me more curious about doing more research about certain things. I'm just grateful to be in this space. And thank you so much for having me today, this morning.
Right.
Are there any final shares from anyone? We are coming at the 8 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah, we have Ia Robbins' hand up. Thank you for joining, Ia.
Oh, awesome. Good morning, Ia.
Good morning. I was watching from my TV, but I just wanted to jump in. I'm glad we're at the close, but thank you for this session. And my share is that nothing is magical or mystical, and we are in a period of our lives right now, society, the world, where we are all awakening to who we really are. And these gifts, and it was said several times, but these gifts that we had, that's what I call them, gifts of the dreams, of the visions, of the premonitions, all of those are indigenous. They are within us. And because of society and the way that we are taught to think that we're crazy, I heard that, Lloyd, a lot of times, or that things are not going to happen, and worry things shouldn't happen, and worry about what people will think of us when we share the dream, the vision, the premonition. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us down. But those things that happen are happening because spirit is working through us. We're all open portals in one way, but we close those portals when we believe things that go against what's really happening to us. I mean, it's not fake that you had a dream with Harriet Tubman or a vision of her. It's not fake that, somebody gets a premonition that something is going to happen. I do not remember my dreams, but I know I dream vividly, and then I wake up and I don't remember how to put it all together, but I am a part of what I'm talking about. I'm a demonstration of that, because my gifts scare me. My gifts, period. My gifts scare me, and I'm moving to the place of just accepting that I got Ashe. And that's another way you can use the word Ashe, because Ashe comes and feels magical and mystical, the MAGIK, that we all possess as Black people, as colored people, brown people. All of us have them. And because others can't understand them and we can't articulate it, I can't even say the words now because we can't articulate it. We choose not to speak about it. And I think it's very bold of you and very wise of you, and I'm very happy that you are doing this session. And you inspired me to move beyond my own fear of really, really tapping into who I am and the Ashe that I have. I was sharing this with Shawnee. I don't know if I was sharing with Shawnee, somebody, that my next phase of work, my life's work, is not about putting together 19,000 workshops. I could do that very well. It is about rites and ceremony and sharing the power of my ashe and how I'm guided to do. I told Shawnee, I'm guided to do and to be so that what I do creates shift in the world. So I had to get on just to speak into this space, sister, because I appreciate you for being a catalyst to help me to bring that out. Thank you. I'm complete.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, Ia. I heard a lot, and then something that made me think, and I was like, you know what? What am I doing? You know, when listening to you share, I started to think, what am I doing to support my children and my grandchildren in those gifts, in growing their intuitions, in growing the ashe within them? So just something to think about. And thank you. And yeah, bring that ashe. And I could also relate to being afraid of my gifts as well. I can relate to that.
I want to jump in real quick because I know we're wrapping up. Just to echo E.R. Robbins' offer. So I've said in this space, we've said in this space many times that we discovered that we're blood relatives through ancestry last year. And we've been together for years, over 2 decades as friends and as co-creators of spiritual spaces and guides for people and each other. So it was really a beautiful gift to discover that we were related in that way. But many years ago, over 15 years ago, I had a dream about E.R. Robin, and we weren't close at the time. I mean, we were doing work together, but weren't like tight. And I was like, why am I dreaming about her? And we were driving along and we went to this farmer's market and we were putting our hands in the grains together and talking about the robustness of what was there at the farmer's market. And I'm trying to remember, I think I was driving and she was in the passenger side or vice versa. But I was like, I woke up from the dream. I'm like, why am I dreaming about her in this way? It was so vivid, the colors of the fruit and the grains. And then, you know, it made sense. I was like, oh, this makes sense because we got so close. And she's the godmother to my grandbaby girl. And I'm like, oh, that's why. But then when we found out we were blood relatives, I was like, come on, spirit. And I'm like, I'm a dreamer. That's one of my gifts. I have several gifts, but that's one of the gifts. And I've been saved from so much stuff through dreams. But I'm like, sometimes I wish it would just be to the point. Like sometimes my dreams are spot on. It's exactly what's going to happen. But other times it's all the symbolism. I'm like, they could have just told me this shit. Like I didn't need to be, you know, all the symbols and just get to it. Like have us stay in a dream. You know, we cousins, right? But I also love that because of how I am, I love symbolism, the mystical. I love deciphering things. So they're like, we're going to give it to her just like this. And we're going to let it unfold in layers and she'll get it exactly when she needs to get it. So I just wanted to put that out there about our connection and just how spirit shows us what we need to see when we need to see it and how we need to see it.
Wow. That is amazing. All these stories, what they do is they affirm the magicalness inside of me. And I'm hoping it's affirming the magicalness inside of all of us and helping us to tap into that and make it work for us. And so we can have less resistance to it and actually recognize when it's showing up, when our ashe is showing up really strong. And I want to thank again, I see both my sisters stepped into the space, Kashana and my older sister, Lisa. I don't know if she's still here, but thank you for coming. And everyone who's here, Evelyn, Phyllis, all those who made it this morning, thank you for your presence in this space. I appreciate it. And I hope we all go forward in a very powerful, magical way and that we make, and we put ourselves in position for more manifestations of the things that we want.
Beautiful.
And I'm complete.
Thank you. Magnificent, beloved. All right, let me put up our slides. Family, y'all keep your commentary coming. We want to hear or have you just continue to share beyond the session because we a community that co-creates with one another all the time. All right, so your contact information, anything you want to say about this to folks about reaching out to you, beloved?
Sure. My number is 917-795-5367. You can find me on Facebook at Sista Zaraya, at Instagram at Watoto Entertainment. I do have a children's entertainment business, so you can reach out to me for that. If you're ever in need of entertainment for whatever activities that you're having. Christmas is here. Some of you are having holiday events. Give me a holla. We have Papa and Mama Claus. So that's what I have to say. And of course, my Gmail is sistazaraya@gmail. Real simple.
All righty. So just thinking about what the possibilities are when we just dare to be our full selves, all the layers, including the mystical, the magical, the intuitive, the esoteric, like all of those things being utilized unapologetically. And just think about coming into this space and not necessarily being tuned in, tapped in this way, and then having access through this sacred community and being given permission to allow that to flow through you unapologetically so you can get to the other side of your greatness. So I'm saying all of this to say that in this woo space, we get access to all these powerful conduits, these activators, these igniters of who we truly are. And so we invite you to use your money as your own natural energy yield, because that's what we talk about money as in this space, as a catalyst for amplifying that access and that way of being. So please do give, set it up so that we are on your list of communities, energies that you tap into and pour into regularly by giving a monthly automated love offering. And you have options in these 4 links that are dropped in the chat for Facebook and Zoom to actually do that. Let's be contribution to ourselves and to this community. So tomorrow, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Alexia, who's been on this journey with us since the beginning of the Woo Nation. She's going to be sharing a message entitled How to Find and Establish a Rapport with a Great Doctor and Get the Best Care Possible, because we deserve that. And definitely use your mysticism, your magic, to discern whether a doctor is for you, because I do that all the time. It's like, is this person for me? And I read on it and then I either step toward or away. So do that for yourself and show up tomorrow so we can hear what she has to say. The Woo Nation also welcomes all new members. I heard you talk about your sister that came in, Lisa. I don't know if it's her first time or if she's been here intermittently, but welcome, Lisa, as a member of the community. If you've come 1 time or 1,000 times, well, not 1,000 yet, right? 718 times. You are part of this community, and we're here to learn, elevate, and ascend. So let's do that, do that, do that. The schedule, as a reminder to some and a new set of information for others. We're here, y'all, in this space from Sunday to Thursday, 5 days a week. We always start at 7 a.m., give or take a few minutes. And on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, it's a 90-minute session that we offer to the Woo Nation. And then on Monday and Wednesday, we offer an appetizer in the form of a 30-minute session from 7 to 7:30, where however the length is dope. Today was a 30-minute session. We got so much out of it. So length doesn't matter. Well, never mind. I could go someplace else with that, but I won't. If you want to get automated text, you can type in 74121. And in your text thread, and then in the box, the text box, Woo Nation capitalized, and you will receive automated text reminding you to join us in this space that's been dropped in the chat. Here is our Woo swag, and we are working on new swag. I said this yesterday. Tiffany is designing some things so that we can amplify this Woo energy that we have, and wear the sayings that are going to affirm the next level of our lives. So check out the swag purchase. They're great gifts. We're approaching the holidays, so don't be hesitant. Jump in, get it, share it with others. We want to thank you for being here and ask you to stay in touch, literally and figuratively. We're talking about mystical, the magical occurrences. So staying in touch means that we might be a dream away from one another, or our belly might light up around a particular participant in this space. And you're like, why is that happening? Why am I thinking about them? Why do I have goosebumps? Pay attention, stay in touch. check in with us. Come tomorrow and rejoin us next Sunday when we start the new week again. And all of these links are ways to stay in touch, to register for the next set of sessions, to join us on Facebook, social media, other social media platforms, to find us on YouTube, and to email us if you have some things you want to share with us about this experience. And so we're complete. We're going to do our love shower. So come off mute, everybody, and let's hear your voices. Let's bring some energy for Sister and her offering.
Thank you, sister. Have
Thank
a
you,
great day.
sister.
Thank you so much, Krishna. What a
Thank
natural
you.
And being what you bring to the world is just phenomenal.
I want to say,
You're an
have a great
amazing,
day,
an
everyone.
amazing,
I love y'all.
amazing human being.
Everybody.
Thank you for bringing the woo, 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 woo,
Look
woo.
out to those
Thank you for
moments.
the woo, woo,
Thank you
woo,
for
woo,
to
woo,
reflect on the ones that I had to say and I
Thank you for the woo,
appreciate it
woo, woo,
very
woo,
much.
woo.
Much love.
Yes, thank you.
Love you,
Thank
baby.
you for standing in
Love
your
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank